Hello everyone and welcome to the 8th week for English 1510 Comp 1 A1217 of online asynchronous at Oakland Community College. The 8th week here, I am going to leave the additional comments down here at the bottom about the flag files. I still have a number of students and it's overwhelmingly tipped into the direction of online classes only. I've addressed this with a number of students, and we've had some situations where some students have ended up failing the assignment or failing the course because of prior things. Other ones we've worked out some arrangements on here on missing some points and getting some other opportunities here. But out of the online classes, for those students who did have to wait for feedback on some of these, I've tried to make this as fair as I possibly can in terms of the feedback. So with some of the students on here under the assignment schedule, if you were one of the students who got your memoir components back later, on students with the summary outline, if you didn't have that nearing the submission of your final draft, I made sure that I went through and I gave you your feedback on the summary outline and the draft credit of the rough draft. And on the final draft, if you didn't have the summary outline, and I noted this on your guys' audio feedback, I didn't take as many points away as I would have on the final draft, but I still did the same corrections and made both audio and commentary on the page. Now, just remember, folks, with those for this on the final draft, that's the last one between that and the diagnostic. Well, I'll be marking line by line like this. The rest of them I'm going to be focusing mostly on the layout of the submission on those, particularly the summary outline and rhetorical analysis. I'll be addressing whether or not your rhetorical devices and your analysis of those devices is well explained, and whether or not you understood the concepts, and whether you note the difference between a device and the concepts that they apply, like logos, ethos, and pathos, and the types of appeals. The other thing that I'll say is my attempt here that started the last couple of days, and several of you have already noted this. Those of you who did receive the feedback on memoir after your classmates, I'm trying to make sure that you're receiving your summary outline feedback for rhetorical analysis before your classmates. Remember, this week coming up, you're submitting your rough draft. You're still working on that. That's not waiting or dependent upon the summary outline feedback from me here. That will not be the case with the final draft. You do want to have my feedback on here before you're submitting that final draft, obviously. And I've already started posting those yesterday and today. I got a little bit behind on putting some of these feedback files up from the prior ones because of all of the issues with ChatGPT, Quillbot, ChatGPT, Grammarly Plus, all these different things across the board, and it's mostly online classes. Now, hopefully those have been dealt with and we won't have any more speed bumps. And some of you have already seen that I have the summary outlines for yours that were submitted on the 18th. In the last few days or earlier on today on the 25th, you've already had your summary outline feedback posted that included an audio file. Some of yours I don't have much to address there. They're on point pretty good. I do want to remind you guys, though, that with rhetorical analysis, I want you to make sure, guys, on here, I reiterated this. I had this in the audio portion. I do have a couple of you who started off with attempts at 25, 30-second videos. That's not to say there aren't devices there that are viable. In some of those that are 30-some seconds, they still do have a decent amount of devices present. If you clearly have imagery, music, and voiceover narration, and those three are abundant enough to go with, I will approve those. I'm not going to make students necessarily retract that and do a different ad. But I had a couple of students where the commercials you used are quite long, 4 or 5 minutes. They're more like little commercial trailers of a movie than anything else, or little mini films themselves. I just want to note on those, guys, make sure that you're trying to stick within something of reason. If I have 1 minute from 120 students, that's 2 hours of videos alone that I have to view. If I have 4 minutes, we're now doubling that. I wouldn't be able to go through everybody's video and offer any type of reasonable feedback. Make sure that you guys have reviewed all of this and you understood everything you're doing here. I also updated the student sample paper. I believe I noted this for you guys prior in the week before. Just making sure you guys see that this updated one is here. it doesn't have to have the extensive intro that the other one had on that sample paper. I tried to make it clear that that was more along the lines of that student's pet project, because what they were really interested in was everything here, not just analyzing an ad. But I also include the secondary version here where the intro is broken down with the subcategories, okay? General, specific, your topic, and thesis, which is still a stumbling block for a number of you. But if you did complete this and submit the summary outline template, for those of you who got your feedback last on memoir, you're getting yours first this week. And as I said, some of you already noted within the last couple of days, you already have yours posted. Now, in the 8th week, the main thing you're focusing on is your class participation and peer review with your classmates. The discussion board form is still available here until the 29th. You're making sure that you're both starting a thread, posting your content, and reviewing classmates. So far, I do have a few of you that have participated. Remember, your classmates can't do this with you or for you if you're not doing this, in accordance with the submission timeline. Try and get in sooner rather than later, folks. So, post yours up right away with the drafting this week. And remember, you're going through these on drafting stage, not worried about whether or not I've said anything about these on the summary outline yet, but just a review for your classmates. Once those are done, you'll be watching for my feedback and your classmate, mine on the summary outline and your classmate on peer review forum in the discussion board, to make sure that you're getting ready for the final draft. The availability of final draft opens up on the 31st, and that is due on April 9th at 11:30 p.m. We also want to note here that in the week 8, this is where our big overlaps begin. So we have the availability of the primary points of support and the availability of the summary with working thesis. So your summary with working thesis piece, if you've selected a topic, opens up on the 31st. You'll have the overlap of those two coming up here in week 8, 8th week, discussion board on these, and then you'll have the overlapping coming up next week of the summary and working thesis, primary points of support, and that final draft. By that time, everyone should have already gotten their feedback on the summary and outline. Everybody should be able to review their classmates' review of your peer review posted in the discussion board, and then those drop boxes that open this coming Sunday for both the summary, working thesis, and primary points of support, those will be available to you guys. I have some of these that are posted up right now. When the Dropbox opens up for this summary and working thesis, that's I want you guys just focused on rhetorical analysis this week, but on these, when this opens up, you'll see that there are some topics available to you guys that I've pre-selected. Don't try selecting topics beforehand, but you'll note that of those in week 9, there are also going to be a bunch of articles that post here that are from the OCC databases, and those are going to be for you guys to review. I'll expect you guys to read the one that corresponds with yours, and I'll make sure that each week we note that you guys are supposed to be following these and going through the databases and finding your own research for the remaining weeks of the semester. After you guys have read the research, the editions, chapters on research papers, I'm not adding anything this week on here. Next week, I'm going to be adding in those articles and articles and reports for you to read. This week, there is something new that's added, though, and those are the review videos for research. Starting this week and next, you have 2 of them to watch each week. Make sure that you do and you utilize these so that you're familiar with the OCC databases. The first 2 that you're going to be reviewing are getting to know your library and web search versus research. Those are up here in the content file. Over here on the left-hand side, most of you have this selected of your syllabus and general documents. You're going to want to select research and MLA citation argumentation videos. On here, getting to know and web search versus research. So our faculty librarians have posted videos here that you guys can watch to go through and learn your way around some of the basics on our databases for your uses in research. Once you guys are done with those 2 this week, you'll be ready, as those open up on Sunday, to go through and start utilizing this link here. You guys this week are finishing rhetorical analysis. Once we start on these, you're going to be going to this page here, and you're going to be putting in things like music therapy, as you'll see from this list that I have here, the topics that I have for you guys to pick from are already listed on mine. Music therapy is one of the topics that I have for students to pick from. Once you do put a selection in like this, you'll select for filters of peer-reviewed journals and full text available only and apply those filters. And this will be the starting point of the content that you can use for your research. You won't be allowed to use anything except for these. When it comes to a topic like music therapy, I'm going to tell you guys to narrow your timeline in and refine. And I'm going to want first and foremost for you to start with 10 peer-reviewed, full-text available academic reports or journals, articles in journals, rather than things like books or documentaries first. I'm going to ask for 10 of those first. So if we're looking at something like this, you guys will be gaining full access here to the full document, reading and citing that. And when it comes to citation, all of these, if they're done correctly, will have a citation function in here. And if it is a journal, an entry in one of these academic journals like this, you can go through and find them where not only do you have full access available to these documents, you'll also have the citation that includes a DOI. And I'll get into that next week with you guys as to what those are and how those function. So the main thing this week, guys, is for us to get done doing the peer review with our classmates, prepare getting those in, getting the drafts in this weekend so that the following week you guys can also be ready for final draft and moving into research topics as listed here. And as I said, where it says to be posted here for week 9, that's where those are going to be posted at. All right, let me know if you guys have any questions. Make sure that you guys are looking at these feedback options on here. Remember, if you guys have any comments or questions, use the instant messaging at the top here. Don't send emails unless you and I have already had some prior conversation and we've established and I have determined that we need to utilize that through the email. Okay? Let me know if you got questions, guys. Those of you who have stayed on top of this and didn't have any issues with ChatGPT or anything else of generative AI, there are still a lot of sentence level issues, grammar, mechanics, punctuation, style, things like that in this class. I want you guys to make sure you're utilizing tutoring. I only have 3 or 4 students from this class who have utilized it so far, and a number of you, despite being in an online-only asynchronous class that you've self-selected to be into, there are a number of students who, in terms of the writing proficiency, to say it requires remediation is an understatement on this. You got so many issues at the sentence level that it makes it difficult to read. I do have to start taking a number more points away now as we get into these drafting stages where I'm not marking those things. This isn't a remediation course. This is Comp 1, and those of you who have selected to be in here, particularly those of you who have some language issues to begin with, you should be utilizing these support services on a regular basis. That's what they're here for. Okay? All right. I look forward to seeing the work, guys. I wish you all the best. Talk next week.